Step into the shadows of Britain's most haunted streets, where history's darkest secrets refuse to stay buried. From ghostly highwaymen to vengeful spirits, these cobbled lanes and forgotten alleyways pulse with paranormal energy. Join me as we uncover the chilling true stories behind the UK's 15 most terrifying streets, where every corner hides a ghostly whisper, and some visitors never leave. Dare you walk them after dark? Want more bone-chilling ghost stories? Hit subscribe now and help us reach 1,000 subscribers before September 1st, 2025. Your support keeps the scares coming. 1. The Shambles, York, England. The Shambles in York, often described as one of the most haunted streets in England, is a place where history and the supernatural collide. This ancient cobbled lane, lined with crooked timber-framed buildings dating back to the 14th century, was once a row of butcher shops, its name derived from the old term fleshmals, the shelves where meat was displayed. The street's grim past, filled with blood, disease, and suffering, has left behind a lingering energy that many believe fuels its hauntings. Visitors often report unexplained cold spots, the sound of phantom footsteps, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. One of the most frequently seen ghosts is a sorrowful young girl, believed to have died during the plague, who appears in an upstairs window of a building near the shrine of Margaret Clitheroe. Others claim to have encountered the spirit of a butcher, his spectral figure looming in doorways, still clutching the tools of his gruesome trade. The old Shambles Tavern, built on the site of a former slaughterhouse, is a paranormal hotspot, with staff and patrons reporting glasses moving on their own, shadowy figures darting across rooms, and even the ghost of a Roman soldier, a remnant of York's deeper past. Paranormal investigators have recorded eerie EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, here, including whispers begging for help. Whether these apparitions are residual echoes of tragedy or intelligent spirits, the Shambles remains a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels unnervingly thin. 2. Mary King's Close, Edinburgh, Scotland. Beneath Edinburgh's Royal Mile lies Mary King's Close, a haunted underground street frozen in time since the 17th century. Sealed off after plague ravaged the city in 1645, this subterranean warren of abandoned homes and narrow passageways has become one of Scotland's most notorious paranormal hotspots. Visitors report sudden temperature drops, unexplained touches from unseen hands, and the overwhelming feeling of being followed through the damp stone corridors. The most famous spirit is Annie, a young girl abandoned during the plague whose ghost has been detected by psychic mediums and thermal imaging cameras in a recreated nursery. Tour guides tell of a Japanese psychic who left a doll for the lonely spirit, sparking reports of the toy moving on its own. Other apparitions include a sorrowful woman in period dress seen wringing her hands near the old well, and the phantom of a man in a leather apron who pushes visitors in the darkest sections. Paranormal investigators have captured ghostly voices on recording devices, including children's laughter and desperate pleas for help. The Close's tragic history as both a plague quarantine zone and later slum housing has left an indelible mark, with many believing the walls themselves hold memories of suffering. Whether these phenomena are echoes of the past or something more sentient, Mary King's Close remains a powerful reminder that Edinburgh's darkest chapters may not be completely closed. 3. Burough High Street, London, England. Burough High Street in London, one of the city's oldest thoroughfares, harbors centuries of ghostly activity beneath its modern facade. The most famous supernatural hotspot along this historic road is the George Inn, London's last remaining galleried coaching inn, where the sounds of phantom horses and carriages still echo through the courtyard at night. Staff and patrons have reported seeing the apparition of a cloaked woman wandering the upper galleries, believed to be the ghost of a heartbroken maid who took her own life after being jilted by a wealthy guest. The inn's cellar, once connected to the nearby Marshalsea prison, is particularly active, with visitors describing an oppressive atmosphere and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Along the street itself, shadowy figures have been spotted near the sites of long-gone medieval prisons and plague pits, their presence often accompanied by sudden chills and whispers in the night. Historians note that this area witnessed countless executions during the Tudor period, and some believe the residual energy of these violent events still lingers. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained knocking sounds and electronic voice phenomena throughout the area, including a chilling recording of a voice saying, "Help me," near the site of the old White Hart Inn. Whether these manifestations are echoes of London's brutal past or intelligent spirits trapped between worlds, Burough High Street remains a place where history's darker chapters refuse to stay buried. 4. East Drive, Pontefract, England. East Drive in Pontefract, West Yorkshire, holds the infamous distinction of being one of Britain's most violently haunted locations. The unassuming suburban house at number 30 became ground zero for one of the UK's most documented poltergeist cases between 1966 and 1969, when the Pritchard family endured terrifying supernatural attacks. Dubbed the Black Monk of Pontefract, the entity manifested as a dark-robed figure with glowing red eyes that reportedly dragged teenage Diane Pritchard up the stairs by her neck, leaving finger-shaped bruises. The disturbances included furniture moving on its own, sudden temperature drops, pools of water appearing from nowhere, and a crucifix spinning violently on its axis. Clergymen who attempted exorcisms reported being physically assaulted, with one priest allegedly slapped by an invisible force. Paranormal investigators recorded the sound of heavy breathing when no one was present, and the word "Satan" mysteriously appeared scratched into a wall. The house's dark history traces back to medieval times when a monk was hanged for rape and murder on the site, with some believing his vengeful spirit remains trapped there. Current owners still report unexplained occurrences, including shadow figures moving through walls and objects disappearing only to reappear days later. The case remains so compelling that it inspired the 2012 horror film When the Lights Went Out. Whether a genuine haunting or something more sinister, East Drive continues to fascinate paranormal researchers worldwide as one of Britain's most disturbing supernatural hotspots. 5. Clophill Old Church Road, Bedfordshire, England. Clophill Old Church Road in Bedfordshire winds through one of England's most eerie landscapes, leading to the ruins of St. Mary's Church, a crumbling 14th-century structure infamous for its dark history and relentless hauntings. The churchyard gained notoriety in 1963 when vandals desecrated graves, scattering bones and skulls in what locals believe unleashed supernatural forces still active today. Visitors report shadowy figures darting between tombstones, disembodied whispers echoing from empty ruins, and the ghostly apparition of a hooded figure seen kneeling near disturbed graves. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained orbs, sudden temperature drops, and electronic voice phenomena, including a chilling recording of a woman sobbing. The road itself is said to be haunted by the spirit of a heartbroken bride who died in a carriage accident on her wedding day. Drivers claim to see her spectral figure in a white gown, vanishing as they approach. Others tell of a phantom hearse that appears at midnight, its ghostly horses galloping silently before disappearing into the mist. The area's grim reputation deepened when occult rituals were allegedly performed in the ruins, with some claiming the church sits on an ancient ley line amplifying paranormal activity. Whether drawn by curiosity or the thrill of the supernatural, those who brave Clophill Old Church Road often leave convinced that something unnatural lingers among its weathered stones and lonely pathways. 6. Pluckleys Screaming Woods, Kent, England. Tucked away in the quaint village of Pluckleys, Kent, lies the infamous Screaming Woods, a dense thicket officially named Deering Woods, but forever marked by its bone-chilling reputation. This sprawling woodland has earned its ominous nickname from the countless reports of blood-curdling screams echoing through the trees at night, despite no visible source. Locals whisper of the ghost of a highwayman who met a grisly end in the 18th century, his spirit forever reliving his final moments with agonized wails. Others claim to have encountered the spectral figure of a schoolmaster who hanged himself among the trees, his shadowy form still swinging from the branches. The woods gained national attention in the 1980s when paranormal investigators recorded unexplained phenomena, including sudden drops in temperature, phantom footsteps, and disembodied voices whispering from the darkness. More disturbingly, visitors often report an overwhelming sense of dread, as if being watched by unseen eyes, with some experiencing physical touches or having their names called by invisible entities. The area's tragic history, from suicides to fatal accidents, has cemented its status as one of Britain's most haunted locations. Whether the screams are residual echoes of past suffering or something more sinister, the Screaming Woods remains a place where even the bravest souls hesitate to tread after sunset. 7 Grayfriars Kirkyard, Edinburgh, Scotland. Grayfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh is not just a historic cemetery, it's ground zero for one of the world's most documented supernatural cases. The unrest stems from the Black Mausoleum, the final resting place of 17th-century persecutor Sir George Mackenzie, whose spirit is said to have been unleashed in 1999 when a homeless man seeking shelter broke into the tomb. Since then, over 500 people have reported physical attacks by the so-called Mackenzie poltergeist, including scratches, burns, and even temporary paralysis. Visitors describe an oppressive atmosphere near the mausoleum, with sudden drops in temperature, unexplained bruises appearing on their bodies, and the feeling of invisible hands pushing them. The Kirkyard's terrifying reputation is compounded by its association with the Covenanters' prison, where hundreds of Presbyterian rebels were held in horrific conditions in the 1600s. Many believe their tormented spirits still linger, with sightings of emaciated figures in period clothing and the sound of ghostly moans near the prison walls. Paranormal investigators have captured eerie phenomena here, from phantom footsteps to unexplained mists forming around graves. The most famous resident ghost is Bloody Mackenzie himself, often seen in his judge's robes, his malevolent presence so strong that several exorcisms have been attempted. Whether a vengeful spirit or a mass psychogenic phenomenon, Grayfriars Kirkyard remains a place where the boundary between the living and the dead feels dangerously thin, leaving visitors with more than just goosebumps, sometimes with very real physical marks. 8. Lombard Street, London, England. Lombard Street in London, one of the city's oldest and most iconic thoroughfares, hides a dark and haunted past beneath its bustling modern facade. This historic street, known for its distinctive winding curve, was once a hotspot for highwaymen and violent crime during the 17th and 18th centuries, a legacy that seems to linger in the form of restless spirits. Visitors and workers report encountering the ghost of a cloaked highwayman, believed to have been killed during a botched robbery, who appears suddenly before vanishing into thin air. Others have heard the phantom galloping of horses and the clatter of carriage wheels in the dead of night, echoes of long-gone tragedies. The nearby church of St. Edmund the King is said to be haunted by the spirit of a heartbroken woman in white, often seen weeping near the altar before disappearing. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained cold spots, disembodied whispers, and even the faint sound of a woman sobbing in empty alleyways. The street's most chilling legend tells of a murdered merchant whose ghost still wanders the area, his anguished cries for help heard by those walking alone after midnight. Whether these phenomena are residual echoes of London's violent history or the work of trapped spirits, Lombard Street remains a place where the past refuses to stay buried, and where the line between the living and the dead often feels unsettlingly thin. 9. Church Lane, Old Portsmouth, England. Church Lane in Old Portsmouth, ominously nicknamed Dead Man's Alley, is a narrow, shadow-cloaked passage where the past bleeds into the present with unsettling clarity. This ancient cobbled lane, winding between 18th-century buildings, earned its grim moniker from the countless reports of phantom figures lurking in its dimly lit corners. The most frequently cited apparition is a sorrowful naval officer in a tattered uniform, believed to have died in a drunken duel centuries ago, his ghost forever pacing the lane with a silent, restless energy. Locals whisper of a more sinister presence, a shadowy, faceless figure that darts across the path before dissolving into the brickwork, leaving witnesses with a paralyzing sense of dread. The lane's haunted reputation stems from its proximity to Portsmouth's old dockyards, where press gangs once ambushed unsuspecting men, dragging them into naval service, or worse, to early graves. Visitors report sudden temperature drops, the sound of muffled footsteps trailing behind them, and the unmistakable feeling of an unseen hand brushing against their shoulders. Paranormal investigators have captured eerie electronic voice phenomena here, including whispers pleading, "Don't turn around." Some believe the lane's oppressive atmosphere is tied to its role in the plague years, when bodies were hastily buried beneath its stones. Whether these phenomena are echoes of tragedy or something more sentient, Church Lane remains a place where the air hums with unease, and every footstep after dark feels like an intrusion into a world not meant for the living. 10. Westgate Road, Newcastle, England. Westgate Road in Newcastle upon Tyne carries a chilling reputation as one of Britain's most haunted thoroughfares, its ghostly legends woven into the very cobblestones. The most famous spectre is the White Lady of the Tyne Theatre, a sorrowful apparition dressed in Victorian mourning garb who glides through the upper balconies, her presence often accompanied by the faint scent of roses and a sudden, icy chill. Nearby, the historic Victoria Tunnel beneath the road echoes with phantom footsteps and disembodied miners' voices, remnants of its 19th century use as a coal wagonway where workers perished in accidents. Residents living above the tunnel report unexplained knocking sounds and the sensation of invisible hands pressing against their shoulders. The road's darkest history lingers near the site of the long-demolished Westgate Hill Jail, where public executions drew crowds in the 18th century. Visitors today report hearing ghostly cheers and the creak of a non-existent gallows at midnight. Paranormal investigators have recorded startling electronic voice phenomena in the area, including a man's voice growling, "Get out," near the site of the old jail. The chilling climax comes with reports of a shadowy figure seen darting between buildings, believed to be the spirit of a woman murdered by her husband in a jealous rage centuries ago, her restless energy manifesting in sudden gusts of wind and the sound of weeping near the road's oldest buildings. Whether these phenomena are echoes of Newcastle's violent past or trapped souls unable to move on, Westgate Road remains a place where history's whispers turn into screams after dark. 11. Bleeding Heart Yard, London, England. Bleeding Heart Yard, hidden in the shadow of London's Farringdon district, carries one of the capital's most gruesome ghost stories. This cobbled courtyard earned its macabre name from a 17th century tragedy when the mutilated body of Lady Elizabeth Hatton was discovered here, her still beating heart torn from her chest. Witnesses claim her ghost reappears annually on the anniversary of her murder, screaming in agony as she reenacts her final moments, her spectral figure drenched in blood. The yard's paranormal activity isn't limited to this grisly spectacle. Workers in adjacent offices report hearing phantom footsteps pacing empty corridors, while others have seen a mysterious Victorian gentleman in black vanish through solid walls. The nearby Bleeding Heart Tavern serves as ground zero for supernatural occurrences, with staff documenting wine glasses shattering spontaneously and chairs moving without explanation. Historians note the area was once part of the cursed estate of Sir Christopher Hatton, a favorite of Queen Elizabeth I, whose family line ended in tragedy. Paranormal investigators have captured dramatic temperature fluctuations and electronic voice phenomena, including whispered threats in early modern English. Some believe the courtyard's dark energy stems from its proximity to ancient plague pits, while occultists suggest the heart-shaped cobblestones themselves hold residual trauma. Whether drawn by morbid curiosity or paranormal research, visitors leave with one universal impression: this is a place where history's violence refuses to fade into silence. 12. Wookeyhole Village, Somerset, England. Wookeyhole Village in Somerset is steeped in supernatural lore, its haunting atmosphere amplified by the nearby caves that have inspired legends for centuries. The most famous spectre is the Witch of Wookey, a crone-like figure whose ghost is said to stalk both the caves and the village streets after dark. According to local legend, she was turned to stone by a medieval monk, but her spirit remains restless, with villagers reporting eerie cackles echoing from the rocky cliffs and the smell of burning herbs near the riverbank. The old paper mill, now a tourist attraction, is a hotspot for paranormal activity. Workers have reported tools moving on their own, shadowy figures darting between machinery, and the ghost of a young Victorian girl who drowned in the mill's water wheel. Visitors to the caves often describe sudden, unnatural chills and the sensation of being watched, with some claiming to have seen glowing eyes in the darkest passages. The village pub, the Wookeyhole Inn, is no stranger to ghostly happenings, with patrons spotting a phantom caveman near the fireplace and hearing disembodied whispers in the snug corners. Paranormal investigators have recorded unexplained knocking sounds and cold spots throughout the area, particularly near the ancient stone bridge where a lovelorn maiden is said to have taken her own life. Whether these manifestations are remnants of folklore or genuine supernatural phenomena, Wookeyhole Village remains a place where myth and reality blur, leaving visitors with an unsettling sense that the past is never truly buried. 13 Golden Fleece Pubs Pavement, York, England. The Golden Fleece pub in York stands as one of Britain's most haunted drinking establishments, its creaking timber frame harboring centuries of ghostly activity. Dating back to 1503, this historic inn has witnessed countless deaths, from plague victims to Civil War soldiers, their spirits seemingly trapped within its ancient walls. The most infamous spectre is Lady Alice Peckett, the former landlady, whose ghost has been seen gliding through the corridors in period dress, her presence often accompanied by the faint scent of lavender. Guests staying in room 4, the most haunted chamber, report waking to the sensation of an unseen figure sitting on their beds, with some claiming to have seen the ghost of a Canadian airman who died there during World War II. The cellar is another paranormal hotspot, where the restless spirit of a murdered 18th century maid, known as One-Eyed Jack, is said to lurk, his shadowy figure caught on camera by startled staff. Patrons have witnessed tankards sliding off tables untouched, heard phantom footsteps on the upper floors, and even captured eerie orbs in photographs. The pub's grisly history includes its use as a makeshift mortuary during York's cholera outbreaks, with some believing the residual energy of the dead still lingers. Paranormal investigators have recorded disembodied voices, sudden temperature drops, and even the ghostly laughter of children in empty rooms. Whether drawn by curiosity or the thrill of the supernatural, visitors leave the Golden Fleece with one certainty: some patrons never truly check out. 14 St. John Street, Berford, England. St. John Street in the picturesque Cotswold town of Berford is steeped in ghostly lore, its charming facade hiding a turbulent past. This historic thoroughfare was the site of a brutal Civil War massacre in 1649, when Oliver Cromwell's troops executed leveller rebels against the churchyard wall. Today, visitors report hearing phantom musket fire and agonized screams near the site, particularly around midnight. The most frequently cited apparition is a spectral soldier in tattered 17th-century uniform, seen limping along the street before vanishing near the Tollsey Museum. Guests at the Ancient Lamb Inn tell of waking to find a ghostly Roundhead standing at the foot of their beds, his hollow eyes staring into the darkness before he fades away. The street's haunted reputation extends to the churchyard of St. John the Baptist, where witnesses describe seeing a procession of ghostly figures reenacting the rebels' final march. Paranormal investigators have recorded sudden temperature drops near the massacre site and electronic voice phenomena, including whispered pleas for mercy. Shop owners along the street report unexplained phenomena: books flying off shelves in the antiquarian bookstore, the sound of dragging chains in empty attics, and the persistent smell of gunpowder near the old stone wall. Some believe the restless spirits are the executed levelers, still protesting their unjust deaths over 3 centuries later. Whether these manifestations are residual echoes of trauma or conscious hauntings, St. John Street remains a place where England's violent history feels uncomfortably present, especially when the autumn mists roll in from the River Windrush. 15 The Dark Entry, Canterbury, England. The Dark Entry in Canterbury, a shadowy passage connecting the cathedral precincts to Green Court, is one of England's most notorious haunted thoroughfares, its medieval stones saturated with centuries of supernatural lore. This dimly lit alley earned its ominous name from both its physical darkness and the chilling legends that cling to it, most notably the ghost of Nell Cook, a 17th-century servant who was hanged for poisoning her employer. Witnesses claim her vengeful spirit still stalks the passage, her gaunt figure seen clutching her throat as if reliving her execution, her rasping breaths heard echoing off the ancient walls. Others report encountering the Black Knight, a spectral figure in full armor who emerges from the stonework before vanishing into the mist, believed to be the ghost of a medieval soldier who died defending the cathedral. The air in the dark entry grows unnaturally cold even in summer, with visitors describing sudden, overwhelming feelings of dread and the sensation of invisible hands brushing against them. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained mists forming in the alleyway and electronic voice phenomena, including whispered threats in archaic English. Historians note the passage was once part of a pilgrim's route to Thomas Becket's shrine, and some believe the accumulated sorrow of centuries lingers in its stones. Whether these phenomena are echoes of Canterbury's violent past or something more sentient, the dark entry remains a place where the boundary between the living and the dead feels terrifyingly thin, especially when the cathedral bells toll midnight.